Hi, I'm Karl Principal Broker at Klein May Realty. Thank you for joining me for another Q&A with Klein May. If you're a regular watcher, you'll know that this week's episode is kind of a follow-up to last week's episode, both the topic and the coffee. We're talking about the recent NAR lawsuit and the settlement that has been proposed. As of the time we're filming this, it hasn't been approved by the judge, but the experts seem to think that it will be. Last week we talked a little bit about how that settlement may affect the price of a home or an agent's compensation, and how some of the headlines that we've been seeing in the media have totally missed the mark and are not true at all. The second big component to that settlement that we're going to talk about today is how buyer representation is handled. The settlement specifies that whenever an agent begins working with a new buyer and they're showing them a house that is not listed by that agent's firm, they need to have a buyer agency agreement, some kind of simple contract signed before they even show the person that house. Virginia passed a law in 2012 that said it was mandatory to have written agreements between agents and buyers so that everybody would know who's representing whom, what the financial terms are, those kind of things. And initially Virginia told us that we had to do the same thing. You had to have it signed before you open the door, and that just doesn't make sense. You've met somebody for the first time, maybe you've got multiple buyers, maybe you've got parents co-signing. There are just a lot of reasons why that's not practical. So the law in Virginia now is once we begin having substantive discussions with a buyer, once they're asking the agent for advice, opinion on pricing, those kind of things, that's when we need to stop the conversation and make sure we're clear on whether or not that agent is representing that buyer. And if so, we have a simple agreement that's signed that talks about what we're looking for, how much our firm charges for buyer representation, what the term of the agreement is, those kind of things. The message to buyers here in Virginia is to really begin a mental shift. You know, when folks are selling a home, they interview several agents and they pick the one that they think is the best match for them. And I think buyers need to think about that same kind of process. It's going to be that agent's job to represent those buyers fully and completely and do everything that's in their best interest. It's something that you don't want to enter into lightly, but it is now a requirement of the law that we enter into that agreement. Our coffee today is, again, a follow-up to last week. Last week we did Starbucks breakfast blend, maybe the most recognizable coffee in the world. Today we're going to do Martin's Grocery Store's generic breakfast blend. That is very good, but it's noticeably different than the Starbucks. I will have to say the Starbucks has a richer flavor. This is a very good cup of coffee, but it doesn't have that full body that the Starbucks has. If you've got a favorite coffee you'd like me to try here, or you've got a real estate question for me, please send that to questions@kleinmay.com. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you next time.